more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I realized I did want recognition for the quest I had completed, but not from the other campers. I wanted my dad to say something, to notice me. Hermes readjusted the mailbag on his shoulder. Percy, the hardest part about being a god is that you must often act indirectly, especially when it comes to your own children. If we were to intervene with our children every time they had a problem, well, that would only create more problems and more resentment. But I believe if you give it some thought, you'll see that Poseidon has been paying attention to you. He answered your prayers. I can only hope that someday Luke will realize the same about me. Whether you feel like you succeeded or not, you reminded Luke who he was. You spoke to him. I tried to kill him. Hermes shrugged. Families are messy. Immortal families are eternally messy. Sometimes the best we can do is remind each other that we're related, for better or worse, and try to keep the maiming and killing to a minimum. I didn't like this. It didn't sound like much of a recipe for the perfect family. Then again, I thought about my quest. I realized maybe Hermes was right. Poseidon had set the hippocampi to help us. He'd given me powers over the sea that I'd never known about, and there was Tyson. Had Poseidon brought us together on purpose? How many times had Tyson saved my life this summer? In the distance, the conch horn sounded again, signaling curfew. You should get to bed, Hermes said. I've helped you get into quite enough trouble this summer already. I really only came to make this delivery. A delivery? I am the messenger of the gods, Percy. He took an electronic signature pad from his mailbag and handed it to me. Sign here, please. I picked up the stylus before realizing it was entwined with a pair of green, tiny snakes. Ah! I said. I dropped the pad. Ouch, George said. Really, Percy? Martha scolded. Would you want to be dropped on the floor of a horse stable? Sorry? I didn't much like touching snakes, but I picked up the pad and the stylus again. Martha and George wiggled under my fingers, forming a kind of pencil grip, like the ones the special ed teacher made us use in second grade. Did you bring me a rat? George asked. No, I said. We didn't find any. What about a guinea pig? George, Martha chided. Don't tease the boy. I signed my name and gave the pad back to Hermes. In exchange, he handed me a sea blue envelope. My fingers trembled even before I opened it. I could tell it was from my father. I could sense his power in the cold blue paper, as if the envelope itself had been folded out of an ocean wave. Good luck tomorrow, Hermes said. Fine team of horses you have there, though you'll excuse me if I root for the Hermes cabin. Don't be too discouraged when you read it, dear, Martha told me. He does have your best interests at heart. What do you mean? I asked. Don't mind her, George said. And next time remember, snakes work for tips. Enough, you two, Hermes said. Goodbye, Percy. For now. Small wings sprouted from his pith helmet, and he began to glow, and I knew enough about the gods to avert my eyes before he revealed his true divine form. With a brilliant white flash he was gone, and I was alone with the horses. I stared at the blue envelope in my hands. It was addressed in strong but elegant handwriting that I'd seen once before, on a package that Poseidon had sent me last summer. Percy Jackson, care of Camp Half-Blood, Farm Road 3.141, Long Island, New York 11954. An actual letter from my father. Maybe he'd tell me I'd done a good job for getting the fleece. He'd explain about Tyson or apologize for not talking to me sooner. There were so many things I wanted the letter to say. I opened the envelope and unfolded the paper. Two simple words were printed in the middle of the page. Brace yourself. The next morning, everybody was buzzing about the chariot race, though they kept glancing nervously towards the sky like they expected to see the Stynthian birds gathering. None did. It was a beautiful summer day, with blue sky and plenty of sunshine. The camp had started to look the way it should look. The meadows were green and lush, the white columns gleamed on the Greek buildings, dryads played happily in the woods. And I was miserable. I'd been lying awake all night thinking about Poseidon's warning. Brace yourself. I mean, he goes through the trouble of writing a letter, and he writes 2 words. Martha the snake had told me not to feel disappointed. Maybe Poseidon had a reason for being so vague. Maybe he didn't know exactly what he was warning me about, but he sensed something big was about to happen, something that could completely knock me off my feet unless I was prepared. It was hard, but I tried to turn my thoughts to the race. As Annabeth and I drove onto the track, I couldn't help admiring the work Tyson had done on the Athena chariot. The carriage gleamed with bronze reinforcements. The wheels were realigned with magical suspension, so we glided along with hardly a bump. The rigging for the horses was so perfectly balanced that the team turned at the slightest tug of the reins.